Hi, everybody. I am joined today by Dr. Ted Corin. He's a chiropractor. He's my mentor, and he was the one who helped me when no one else could. So I'm grateful to him and for him also being a speaker at the Holistic Autism Conference, Getting to the Roots. So, Dr. Ted, please tell us how KST. Well, first of all, talk a little bit about what KST is, and then I'll get to the next question.
Okay, great. KST was discovered by accident. Literally, I was in an accident and I was disabled as a result of it. Bad concussion, whiplash, trauma. Couldn't use my hands. I gave up my license to practice. I was in so much pain all the time. Some days I couldn't walk more than 10 feet at a time because the sciatica that I'd had off and on for a couple of decades, but mostly off. But became on a lot, and it was intense pain. I was miserable, and as you might have assumed, I went to all the local chiropractors I could, doing all these different techniques. Nobody could help. Some hurt me. I began to go to doctors all around the country. I saw between 40 and 50 doctors, mostly chiropractors, but body workers of all kinds, physical therapists, mea culpa, MDs, osteopaths, acupuncturists, craniosacral therapists. I spent a fortune, and this went on for 10 long years. The pain did not abate, weakness, pain, and disability. So 10 years of this stuff, and I was totally disgusted, and I decided to take matters into my own hands. So I was
Literally.
literally, I was introduced to this little instrument, arthrostem instrument, any instrument you can use. It taps. Anyway, I was introduced to that, and I decided to start experimenting. And I combined concepts from different techniques that were used on me, but independently, they could not help me. But when I put them together, the synergy was like incredible. And I was out of pain in 5 days. This is after 10 years. What I did was I found what everybody missed. And I found the hidden subluxations that most chiropractors and healers do not know where they are. And that was the beginning of KST. My second patient was my wife, Beth, who suffered from migraines for 12 years. And I found a spot that nobody else corrected, or I did, of course. One little tap, and she never had migraines again. So I began to realize that, hey, this might be interesting. What am I doing? And I decided to look for the worst patients in the world to see if I could help them where everyone else failed. Because does the world really need another technique? I mean, there are so many out there. I thought, really, who am I to come through and say, hey, try this? But I figured if I could help people where everyone else had failed, then I had something really unique or special or creative or what have you, or beneficial to humanity. So I would lecture at state associations on all kinds of subjects all over the country, and in other countries too. And I make an announcement after the break or before the break. I say, anybody who has a problem, no one else has been able to help you, see me during the break. And I dismiss everyone, and 1 or 2 people I figured would come by. Instead, the line went out the door, and I really learned KST by working on sick chiropractors and their families, because they bring their families the next day usually, and their CAs. And that became the beginning of KST. After about 16 months of that, I gave the first KST seminar. And we haven't looked back since. Over 5,000 people have come to KST seminars. Mostly chiropractors, have some MDs, especially in Europe. The MDs are not as poorly trained as they are in America. So they're more open-minded. And so in Europe, MDs and osteopaths and natural healers, in America, and lay people too, because there's no law against working on yourself. Not yet.
Yeah. So
or your family.
yeah,
And that
so
was the
my
beginning.
experience was similar. Had been suffering for 2.5 years following an injury to my neck. I had been to about 50 chiropractors all over the country. I tried all these different therapies, and within 2 visits to you, I was about 90% improved. I wasn't sleeping for 2.5 years, anything
Oh,
more than 20-minute increments. And for me, one of the things I love it, and KST, by the way, means corn specific technique.
oh yeah, I
Um,
forgot to mention that.
well, one of the things I really love about it, and this is just a short interview today, so people can know what to expect when they come to our conference in August, so they can learn a little bit about how to use the what's called the occipital drop to help people, or just to listen to their own intuition, so that they can help make these decisions for themselves. Is
Mhm.
parents that have a child, on the autism spectrum are inundated with information and solutions and treatments that can lead them down the wrong path for years. And even just as an understanding of getting to
Yeah,
the root
wasting valuable
cause,
time.
yeah, wasting valuable
You
time.
need to get
And
them as young as possible.
yes, and one of the reasons I wanted to have you as the speaker was so important is that hopefully you can help guide people to listen to their own intuition, to listen to what is the best direction. Because one of the things that KST does is, you ask like what the priorities are, right? What are the
You're
priorities
asking,
in healing?
yes, it's called binary biofeedback. It's used all over the world. It's a way of just sort of asking the body, trying to tune into the body's wisdom, you can say, and find out what needs to be done. And using this work, you can ask all kinds of questions, and you might discover some things that might surprise you. I've used it on people with serious chronic illnesses, of course, with autism. And autism, usually the cure of it is multifactorial. There's a number of things you should do, and I'll talk about that at the conference. But the results are very powerful. My overall philosophy, you might say, is the shotgun approach. Do lots of things that work, that have a history of working, that don't conflict and are safe, and generally fairly inexpensive. And that's really the key to reversing autism. The medical profession is horribly immoral when it comes to autism because they weren't dealing with the cause, which is toxicity. And the toxicity can be from anything, really. Mostly it's vaccines, but it could also include soy products, 5G. It can include all kinds of environmental stresses. I always tell parents before they have their children to detox, because mothers detox into their babies.
Right.
And that is something that has to be addressed because the mothers are toxic and they can't expect to have a healthy child if they're toxic. And they'll say, I eat well, I do everything. Yeah, but you were vaccinated and you have mercury fillings or you have this or that. So just make sure you're healthy so you'll have a healthy baby.
Great. So I look forward to having you speak at the conference. And I know that the attendees will not be disappointed, because you always give a great talk whenever I've seen you, which has probably been about 20 times at least over the years. So I
Great.
thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.